We are officially beyond halfway distance in this, our farewell Monday championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. No other circuit, a fitting location for our second flyaway round of the Mini British GT 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RCI TV for the latest and greatest event we have in our long history of ACC events. My name is Jack Mays. You join us at the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. Joining me in the booth is none other than Jesse Lee. And of course, we have Ash Bibby on the cameras, the man of the hour, keeping us roughly on track. And on track action will be happening as we are into the depths of qualifying. GT3s first, as is British GT tradition. GT4s will be following in the next 6.5 minutes. Jesse Lee, I do believe before we get underway with the proper proceedings, you do have a special guest that you've gone and found.
Yes, indeed. Down with McKenna McConnell, who had a historic round last time out at Snetterton. A couple of podiums, including one a raucous finish in race one. We meant to bring you an interview post-race for the historic event, but time constraints did not allow us to do so. But today, we're going to give McKenna her due. McKenna, first of all, welcome in. How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible that you're doing this while driving at the same time. I just want to point out, it's effortless. Now, we've had other drivers do that. Jordan Daly, for instance, is quite famous for having a conversation while driving. It just seems that you're full of tricks.
Yeah, I was queen of the multitasking, so I just gotta try and focus where I can and give some good answers.
So what were you thinking last week going into Snetterton? Did you think you had a shot at the podium, or were you less sure coming from the third row?
Well, after a bit of a chaotic race the week before, I wasn't super sure, but always that hope in the back, and especially after the first couple of minutes, I think I needed a change of trousers, and so we were just hoping we were gonna finish the race.
Well, for those of you at home that don't understand why this is such a historic occasion, McKenna McConnell has come from the AM class all the way up to essentially the top of pro to get their first overall pro couple of podiums. Did that last week at Snetterton here in the Mini British GT Championship, and now is driving while talking to us, doing qualifying laps. You need to pick it up, McKenna. You're not in the top 10. I'm sure you'll figure that out eventually, as you often do in the quali session. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Your husband, quite a prolific driver in RCI, a pro driver, fastest hands in the West. You're a lucky woman. And you seem to have picked up some of their driving technique as illustrated here.
Yeah, so Grim is the fastest hands in sim racing, as some might say, faster on the controller. Yeah, it really lends itself well, and he's taught me a couple of tricks. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy to have his help, and yeah, it's really helping.
What kind of tips has he given you recently to sort of? Surely he's been instrumental in your meteoric rise.
Absolutely, yeah. So, he's always been racing on a pad, and yeah, he was able to teach me some secret tricks of the trade that I can't unfortunately divulge. But it has really helped improve my technique, and yeah.
What about today?
Yeah, we're hoping for a good result, and just trying to stay focused. Hopefully we'll have a better race than some of the F1 lads yesterday. So just hoping for a good finish.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought F1 was fantastic for the first time in a long time. Weird that. Looking to continue to improve. Talking to McKenna McConnell, who's lost another spot. McKenna, pick it up 1 second. Maybe she'd be quicker if she wasn't talking to us. We just wanted to talk about it. First of all, congratulations on behalf of all of broadcast, and it's really cool to see your name at the top, and honestly, where it belongs. And what's it like? I've just got to ask now. You are now officially, without question, the fastest couple in RCI. How's that feel?
Iconic. Absolutely iconic. I'm very fortunate that we could be in this spot. So yeah, it's pretty cool day. I never thought I'd be in the box talking to you guys for a podium interview. Hopefully we can bring it back with a win and be back here again.
What's your prospects look like today as qualifying nearing a close for the GT3s? What's your prospects today look like? Are we going to have a repeat performance, or is today going to be a little bit tougher?
You know, we can really set our sights aspirationally, and practice before the race was proving really promising. So I think as long as a couple things go our way, I think there's a good chance I can be back in the box tonight. We'll see.
I like that a lot. For those of you that don't know, McKenna has been our primary race controller for quite a while now in RCI, and I've served under her as a steward. And on behalf of the entire stewarding team, I think that having another fast steward is incredible as well. McKenna, you screwed up there a little bit. What are you doing?
I'm just focusing on your compliments. They're just really getting to my head. I don't know.
That's how. Yeah. Well, that's how. Oh my gosh, just a little off the track there. That might have slowed you down a little bit. We're going to commentate the final couple of corners through the chicane that shouldn't be there, but is, because this game is several years old now, through the final turn and on to the pit straight here at Barcelona. Looking for an improvement, anything to get in the top 10, and it won't do it. A 10th slower. McKenna, you're coming from the back.
You know, it'll be a surprise for everybody. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good surprise.
Joe Dauber on the pole for GT3, a 43.390, good enough for that spot. They'll share the front row with Nico Kumpu, Tom Shipston. Actually, yeah, Tom Shipston's still out there on a lap, I believe. Yes, they are. For RPMS, that Lexus still doing a lap as the GT4s continue. We'll see if this is any quicker for Tom. We'll get back to McKenna in a moment. Will the RPMS driver bail? No, they will not. They think they're on a heater, and they might be coming to get the line. They're currently third, looking to improve, and they don't. They miss out by a few 1,000ths of a second, so that will set your GT3 lineup for Mini British GT Flyaway round number 2. And here come GT4s. Talking to McKenna, a race controller, steward, race car driver, podium getter, one half of the fastest couple in RCI. What's next for McKenna after this championship?
Good question. Setting our sights on the Enduro coming up in July. That should be a good time. Also looking forward to the 24 hours of Spa. Unfortunately, we won't have the fastest hands in sim racing there, but should get to attend as a very nice patron. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Well, there you have it. McKenna, is there anything that you would maybe want to say to anyone out there that's maybe looking to get into sim racing, or maybe to up their pace like you have?
Yeah, definitely. Always keep trying. Don't get discouraged. I know it can be really hard, especially if you feel yourself making mistakes and you're not improving. It can be really easy to be hard on yourself. Just try and give yourself grace and try and find joy in the little moments and keep going.
Final question: what makes you happy?
Oh, that's a really good question. I can actually be a bit pessimistic to myself, and so I've really been working on finding joy in little things. So like today, I went downstairs and my cat was so pleased to see me, and that just brought me so much joy. So finding joy in the little moments is my pet project.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And finally, McKenna, anyone you want to shout out out there? Grim, the family, loved ones, the cat.
Everybody. Shout out my husband Grim. Literally couldn't have done this without him. His wisdom,
Literally.
etc. Also, the whole RCI family. This feels very full circle. Jesse, as you mentioned, I
Right?
did a lot of stewarding back end. So the fact that this is the final ACC champ, and this is how we're finishing it is pretty great.
McKenna McConnell wears many different hats. It just depends on what day it is. Whether that be a helmet, a stewarding hat, anything. Iron Woman, I think is what I'm going to call you. Literally anything is possible when you are McKenna McConnell. You're low-key an inspiration for me as well, but that has nothing to do with like RCI. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Sorry we couldn't do this last week, but I'm glad we got this longer sort of free-form interview in this week. McKenna, good luck in the race. You qualified 12th. Probably our fault, to be honest.
It's okay. It'll give us something to work towards, and we can really see progress at the end of the race. So thanks so much for having me, guys, and hope to be back.
McKenna McConnell, double podium at Centerton. We got the interview in there. And Jack, that is a woman who was driving like she was possessed. It was almost, that old Senna quote, I wasn't driving the car, I was above the car, I wasn't conscious of what I was doing. It was almost like that's what was happening last week, but she got those podiums, and she's humble too, is the other thing. Lucky guy, that Grim.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you again, McKenna, for joining us for the beginning of the race, a wholly unique qualifying session that this has turned into. And we are underway for the GT4s here at Barcelona. Of course, Jesse, you mentioned earlier on, this is the older version of Barcelona, the one with the dastardly chicane, which makes up the final two corners. Of course, in our GT3s, we will come to the full qualifying results in a few minutes, which we're all said and done. But the top 5 in GT3s as a result: Joe Dauber, Nico Kumpu, Tom Shipston, Andrzej Batek, and Emo Plata. GT4s, of course, coming out, setting their first times. Polyakov, the benchmark in the early moments, followed by Picano, Huel, Wareham, and Stubna. Jesse, the elephant in the room tonight on track is that track temperature, 38 degrees Celsius. Even for a Floridian, that is steaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's same as you, partner. Even as a Carolinian, that's a little too hot. That's stay indoors and crank the AC a little bit, even for us here on the East Coast. So that's really hot, but it's just one of those days here in Catalonia, and that's going to torture these tires, I think, more to the point. And it's not going to be as bad in qualifying. The thing they're worrying about in qualifying is getting the setup hooked up with temperatures that hot, because it's not really something you practice a whole lot, and you would have spent the vast majority of your practice session prior to quali today working on that, trying to figure out what the operating temperature of the tires. Of course, ACC's operating temperature is incredibly narrow as far as a window is concerned, and the difference between hitting it and missing it is a vast chasm of difference in pace. So that's what they'll all be fighting. They're going to be fighting it here in quali, but more importantly, they're going to be fighting it in this race as well.
Yeah, and I think it might bring into question, this is one of our 60-minute races. Kevin Boss briefly having to make his way around an Alpine, going on a bit of a vacation to the beach, but it's going to bring into question, normally 60 minutes, tire change, not necessary. Rarely it is worth the extra time spent in pit lane, the little bit of time you have to spend warming it up. But a day like today, especially those left side tires, could be a scenario where they just get so hot, they start to burn up, they start to just shred themselves, and maybe we'll see some tire change in the pit stop, some alternate strategies that we haven't really seen so far, and it's going to be a great race always. Barcelona, not a personal favorite of mine to drive, but always seems to deliver a pretty good level of racing, Jesse. I have to say, though, I hope it's slightly less crashy than it was when we were here a few weeks ago on a Friday. Hope that of the 36 cars we have on circuit, if there is going to be an accident, at least let it look good, I suppose.
Well, I agree and disagree with you on a couple of accounts. I love Barcelona, just not this version. The 14-turn version without the chicane is absolute driving bliss. The elevation change, the cambered corners, the off-cambered corners, the flow is absolutely peak. This version is not that version. This is the 4.675 kilometer version, 16 turns. There is a special place for this racetrack, but I shan't say where that is. I just never got on with this version of the racetrack. I don't particularly like it. However, the 14-turn version is absolutely sublime. I could run a 24-hour race here in that particular configuration. It's love and hate. There's nobody that is really in the middle, and you've got the box divided on Barcelona as sort of testament to that. Polyakov, the quickest here in GT4 qualifying. They're a couple of tenths faster than Picano, who has just went top of the heap. A 52.197 puts the Alpine at the top of qualifying. So reverse those. Picano over Polyakov, Huell, Wareham, Boardman, Redford, Stubna, Winch, Kerrigan, Kilmov, Watts, Boss, and the list goes on. More than 30 cars, 36 of them, in fact. Looks like the number 11 went out in GT3 qualifying, though, Jack, and that's why they're disqualified. That will put them at the back of the field. They should still be allowed to race, however, but I'm quite sure that disqualification was going out in the wrong group in quali earlier.
Yeah, so believe that Ilya Emelianovsky was in the McLaren 720S GT3 and ended up staying out a little bit too long, and I think was still going once the clock ticked below 10 minutes.
Oh, no,
So
yes, you're right.
That was what that disqualification is, which if it was a GT4 car, a little bit less of a big issue, but as we've seen, I think just about every week, we've seen a GT3 car start at the back, so I suppose we'll keep that up coming into Barcelona, but no, they're going to have to start from the very back of the grid. Super, super tricky race, made super, super trickier for that driver, but a couple more cars to come across the line. Miso, Stubna, one of them. They are actually up on their time. We'll expect to see them. They did jump up a couple of positions into the top 5. Damian Lowe seems to have finished in 29th. Raphael Huell comes across the line. It's not enough of an improvement to take a step closer to the front row. Nikolai Polyakov is still on a lap. They're up by just a little bit in the Armamentario Maserati Gran Turismo GT4. They have a Mike Redford ahead of them. Mike Redford seems to have pulled well and truly out of the way to avoid any such impedance. But as we're coming into what would normally be turn 13, the big sweeper, nope, we get the 90 right into the 90 left that makes it the final chicane. That's so divisive among drivers. You can see from this camera angle how tall those sausage curbs are, and Redford proving the point even further, going airborne in the background. But Polyakov, he's up by a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough as he comes across the line. He's going to stay second in the GT4s, Jesse, but that is going to finish for qualifying tonight.
Qualifying all said and done for both classes. Joe Dauber over Kumpu, Shipston, Bannock, Plata, the top 5 in GT3. Behind them, Jackson, Edwards, Daly, Barry, Svinchek, the top 10. Lawrence, McConnell, Whittle, Dalton, Stevenson, Rybecki, Varga, and Feskov the 19 or the 18 cars that got their times allowed. And of course, there was a 19th in the number 11 car that will start from the back behind this group. Picciano out qualifies Polyakov and does it with a 52.197, 8/100ths quicker than Polyakov today. Huell, Wareham, Stubna, the top 5. Boardman, Redford wins. Kilmov, Kerrigan, the top 10. Watts, Boss, Lowe, Linz, Schaefer, Tucky, Turbley, and SC, the 18 GT4s. Well, that's how they line up today. But here's Jack to tell you how they've lined up in the championship.
Of course, coming into round 5, this is the half distance of the championship, and GT3's Joe Dauber leading the field as he has done for the second quarter of the season at 98 points. Marco Badowski still well within the fight. Everybody well within the fight of the championship. Of course, we still have so much more racing to do. Martin Lorink is in third. Andrzej Badek is in fourth. Roskim fifth. Nico Kumpu in sixth, McKenna McConnell seventh, Aaron Jackson eighth, Shipston ninth, and Adam Krexke is your top 10 for the standings in GT3. In GT4, it's Andy Boardman. He hasn't necessarily been winning races, but he has been so consistently finishing on the podium that he's leading in the halfway distance. Raphael Huell's in second, Mike Redford third, Sebastian Picano in fourth, Nikolai Polyakov fifth, Tom Winch sixth, Miso Stubna seventh, Anton Klimov in eighth, Damon Wareham ninth, and Callum Kerrigan rounds out the top 10. Jesse, I don't think we can overstate this enough. It is absolutely positively still anyone's championship in either class, and fortunately so. We have so much more racing left to do, including tonight. And I mean, just look at the grid. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to take the next 3 or 4, however many races we have left to even think about deciding this championship. Nobody has taken complete control in either category. You've got some drivers who can pop off and win a race or two, and then they have a bad race or they've DNF'd, and it's kind of changed the entire complexion of the championship. And then, like you illustrated in GT4, you've got drivers who are not necessarily reinventing the wheel, no pun intended, but they are getting consistent finishes, and that's putting them just enough in front of the field. And this grid is not getting smaller. We've had several drivers that have bowed out of the championship, Jack, but the grid's not getting smaller because every time a driver bows out, there's a driver or two that steps up. Jordan Daly's on the grid. Beside them, Ricky Berry's on the grid, who, by the way, won the Daytona iRacing race over the weekend. So already pumped up. Of course, completely different race and format, but it does not matter. Ricky Berry is always up for the task. 3-time Night Owl champion, by the way. Matter of fact, that entire sort of row, 8 and 9, there's 5 Night Owl championships between those two. And just in front of them, the man that ran that championship. And Aaron Jackson, oh, by the way, a great driver, a many times winner in Aaron Jackson. That is a stacked middle of the GT3 field. That illustrates my point. One falls, 2 great drivers seem to take their place. It's just an incredible grid.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's like a homecoming for so many. It's for me, a peek into the past, to the glory days of Assetto Corsa Competizione. Of course, the sim has been with us at RCI for well over 6 years, and we got all the old cars, of course, joining with us. The Jag, driven by Will Stevenson. That's just been a favorite on the grid every single week. Needs no introduction. But so many drivers going out, taking their first GT3 car, the one that they started out in or competed in first, is why we'll see so many older cars. There's a BOP that tries to keep it all reasonably competitive and seems to be doing a good job, considering that the 2 front cars on the front row are not Ferrari 296s, but Ferrari 488 GT3 cars. And the GT4s, same deal. Everything up for grabs. Such a huge stacked grid. Names we haven't heard from in a while, of course, the Vulcan Racing Ginetta, driven by Callum Kerrigan. He hasn't touched this game plenty of time. And the staples as well. The Wheelie Slow car, driven by Kevin Boss. Jesse, it's just, it's glorious. I cannot I would run out of adjectives before we run out of racing.
Yeah, it's a who's who. It's a greatest hits, and I couldn't have put it any better than McKenna McConnell put it herself. It's full circle. For her, it's full circle. For us, it's full circle to see so many great drivers and so many great teams, iconic teams, legendary teams, staples of the RCI grid who have come back and shown up. 36 plus cars, two different classes, halfway in the championship, more or less, and we're none the wiser. And that's what we love. That's the RCI magic. Nobody's running away with it. But the question is, who will win it today? Dauber has the position over Kumpu. Vecchiano has it over Polyakov. But just because they start that way doesn't mean they're going to finish that way. 16 turns each lap, easy to go off. You mentioned the curbs earlier, Jack. That's huge. Also, very easy to get track limit warnings by either avoiding somebody in front or just digging a little bit too much and going off. You can get penalties by going too wide here, one of the tracks where that's possible. It could be a long hour for some of these competitors. 30-some cars. It's been a long time since a lot of these drivers have raced with so many cars around this track, generally favored as a one-groove racetrack. Passing's going to be at a premium. I'm nervous for them.
I would be too. I mean, they got the heat working against them. They got the giant grid to contend with that's just given us so many brilliant moments in the past couple of weeks. An interesting weaving strategy, I have to admit, from Aaron Jackson in the background. Just having a little bit of fun in the Kaiju Racing Nissan GTR. Looking on to our YouTube chat, lots of support for a lot of drivers, people realizing, oh, hey, I forgot that there'd be a chicane here tonight. So used to the newer variant.
I had that same reaction, chat.
I had to go and find a specific track map just for today that didn't have the incorrect layout on it. And one big question, why are we stepping away from ACC? And there's a myriad of reasons. The world is leaving ACC behind, Jesse, I feel like is one way to put it. But as this sim has been your life for so many years, I feel like you can sort of describe it best as to why we're pulling the curtain in front of the simulator.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, put in the most simple context in which I'm allowed to answer, by virtue of our sort of race management. We are not leaving ACC. This is the last big Monday champ in ACC. It is not the last race or potentially series in ACC that you will ever see. This is, however, according to the race organizers, the last ACC Big Monday champ. So that's all I can say, but I hope you take my meaning and understand exactly what that means. I can also guarantee you this is not the last ACC race this summer, this series. So with that said, just about getting ready to go. The GT3s lining up. Joe Dauber, Nico Kumpu, glad you're all with us. We hope that you're having a lovely evening wherever you are. We're getting ready to turn 35 plus cars loose around Barcelona. Jack, take us away.
We're waiting for the green flag to go at any moment. There it is, Dauber immediately launching off the line. Nico Kumpu alongside him. A great start for the pole sitter and a great shot to see all cars getting underway immediately. Baddock looking to the outside. We're almost 4 wide coming into turn 1. Andres Baddock in the Lexus is going to try to stick it through. Kumpu's late on the brakes. Everybody stacking up into the first corner. Will Stevenson a bit wide in the Jag in the background. A few cars jumping to the escape road, but no big dramas immediately from what we can see from the GT3 cars, other than a huge start for a few drivers. McKenna McConnell trying to make it up after a less than stellar qualifying, and Ricky Berry on the inside giving that one up just a little bit. McConnell's up in position, but everybody driving stellarly in the opening moments. Around the outside is going to try to turn 4, looking back to the GT4s They're all stacked up. They're all pretty much line astern right now. It's Redford versus Boardman. A little bit of bump on the exit. The S is pushed a bit wide. He's going to lose a bit of momentum. Here comes 1, 2, maybe 3 cars that are going to overtake him before turn 7. That is not an ideal start for our championship leader. He's going to have a bit of a ways to look forward. But Jesse Lee, they've impressed us again. Another brilliant start from our crew of drivers.
A couple of cars out of position. Peter Varga, one of those that has fallen down the order. They were one of the cars that were bumped off. Polyakov and Wareham, both with drive-through penalties for being out of position on the start. They were quite close to each other. Boardman making contact with Kevin Boss right there as well, but that will be of little consequence. But for those drive-throughs, they've got 3 laps to serve them. A couple of cars that are out of position are going to have to make their way through this hornet's nest. But oh my goodness, did you see turn 1? They were 4 wide and they somehow made it work.
I'm in disbelief. I know they could do it. If you were here a couple weeks ago and saw Alton Park race 2, you know these drivers are capable, but they're already going to war. Lap 2 underway immediately. McConnell versus Ricky Berry, Porsche versus BMW M4. A little bit of touch on the apex of the corner. Ricky Berry dives out and he comes back onto the circuit right in the way of the Aston Martin V12 Vantage in the background. Fortunately, no big drama from there, but those penalties going to be really, really costly, especially for the likes of Nikolai Polyakov. He started on the front row and immediately his race is going to be hurt. Fortunately, he's got 57 minutes to go still. Daly now on the back of Aaron Jackson. This is one of the first times we've seen Aaron Jackson back in proper qualifying order. No starting from the back of the grid. He gets the fight from a good starting position. Jordan Daly hasn't picked up this sim in a while. The ones around him have just a bit more regularity in this championship, but he's making no friends and he's making no means about his pace immediately, starting in 7th. No big gaps opening up immediately. Not like what we saw last week, Jesse. Not like Setterton, though. This is such an entirely different circuit. Bit more in the race start. I think this is what we saw just a moment ago where Kevin Boss dove up the inside of Andy Boardman, checked him on the exit, and Kerrigan, I think, may have had a little bit of a bump to do with that, Jesse. But no, entirely different circuit than last year. Entirely different race that's going to unfold. And oh, look at that start.
Look at this. Hey, let's count to 4. They're 3 wide in row number 2, but behind them in row number 5, they were 4 wide before they got down to 3 wide. McKenna McConnell on the inside took evasive action. And here's the GT4 start where they are also 3 wide in the 5th row. And looks like Redford goes shooting the gap through the middle. Some Jedi-like reflexes right there to not hit anyone else. We love to see that. And of course, Redford didn't mean to do that. They were just overspeed into turn number 1. And they were able to get back on the racetrack without any further incident. Still don't know what happened to Peter Varga as we continue to watch Boardman. This was the hip and shoulder check Redford gave to Boardman. Still don't know what happened to Varga. The GT3 car didn't see exactly where they went off, but they certainly did, though they've made up almost, they are about halfway up the GT4 grid. Polyakov leads in GT4 over Picciano, but it will matter not because Nikolai has a penalty. They've got 1 more lap to serve it, according to my stopwatch. That will give the lead over to Picciano. Stubna will be P2, and I do believe Redford will take over P3. Polyakov, Jack, is going to go all the way to the back of this field. They may even come out sort of in the middle of the GT3 field, depending.
It might be just about, I think early on, I think he might be okay. Definitely going to be the tail of the field. Damon Wareham went through their pit stop time, another pit stop time, the time in pit lane for that drive, 37 seconds. That is not a short amount of time to have to make up, so that is going to be really tricky for the pole sitter. Some sort of incident happened with Will Stevenson in the Jag because he found himself just ahead of the GT4 leader for the moment. But what we're seeing on our screen now is Svenchek versus Edwards, Bentley versus Mustang, V8 monsters, big boats of machines fighting into turn 1. A little bit of a check from Edwards into the rear of the Bentley, but Uri keeping it underway and very, very clean maneuvers. The Bentley seeming to have a bit more pace in a straight line with some assistance from the toe. Ted Edwards, fantastic qualifying, well up into the top 10, and race pace is a whole different beast together, and you can see right behind Edwards, you got Ricky Berry, you got Wojtek Rybecki, you got John Dalton, a slew of very quick, very experienced drivers. Ted Edwards, of course, very experienced himself, Jesse, but it is, I mean, you said it best. It is a who's who of racers in the GT3 and GT4 class, and we're going to be doing this all night long. We're only 6.5 minutes into the race.
I did see Polyakov has disappeared. Now, did they come into the pit lane, or did they come across the line? I don't actually know, but they have disappeared. So either they've served that penalty, or they've been disqualified, is what I think has happened. Yes, okay, so that is correct. I didn't want to falsely report that, but I believe Polyakov ran 3 laps in front of the field after getting the start violation penalty of a drive-through and has been disqualified.
That's super tricky. I'm wondering, I'm trying to think, maybe Polyakov thought that might be cleared. He's like, oh, maybe that's a false penalty. Maybe, I mean, it's tricky to note because you get multiple notifications on your screen from in-game tools saying you got 3 laps to serve, 2 laps to serve. In this lap, you have to pit this lap to clear the penalty, or maybe just a bit of I don't know, a bit of abstinence, just saying, no, I'm not going to serve the penalty. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Well, the worst did happen, and now he has been disqualified from the race from the lead. So every driver in GT4 getting promoted up a position, somewhat more than that. Raphael Huell, perhaps another move into turn 1. We're going to see Porsche versus Camaro, and a late step out for Raphael Huell on the brakes. He's just about equal with Miso Stubna. Stubna going just a little bit deep, but because the circuit cuts back left, he's up the middle of the road. There's not really a way to get through there, so Raphael is going to have to wait at least a corner or 2 more before getting past the Camaro, but he's really right all over the back. Got the short shoot down towards turn 4. Not the greatest overtaking opportunity, not that big of a braking zone, so he's going to have to continue to wait. Richard Whittle now, Sean Dalton ahead, and he's a bit all over the place on the brakes into turn 10. Fortunately not coming into anybody, but Jesse, I'm wondering if that 488 is a little out of shape.
Well, certainly something spooked Richard Whittle for Whittle's Wizards right there in the Ferrari, and they got out of line. They just sort of took the extra sort of racetrack, the runoff there, almost made it to the extra bit of paved racing surface all the way out there. Something else I noticed is that McKenna McConnell is down to 15th. Of course, she's up a couple of positions now into 13th, but didn't see what happened there. Last we saw they were fighting over 11th position. This might explain it here, as Ricky Berry and McKenna, a little bit of contact. No, that wasn't it, but that was certainly contact there. But forced to believe it was a solo endeavor, how they've fallen back, but now trending in the right direction. 2 positions that lap, going back up to the front, or at least trying to get into the top 10. Nico Kumpu 1.8 seconds off of Joe Dauber in the lead. Here's Ted Edwards down into turn 1. Getting a little dicey here between the 2 big engine cars.
I think that might have been the overtake we saw a few moments ago. Honestly, they could have gone at it again. Entirely possible. But yeah, it's the big hitters in terms of size and displacement that are in this field. Of course, quite a few years between them in terms of manufacturing. The Ford Mustang GT3 2024 was its first bit of competition, and I have to say, Jesse, you probably know better than I do, I'm not actually sure what year of manufacturing that Bentley is. Is it 2015? Is it 2016? It's near makes no difference, about 10 years older than the Mustang, and just ahead, Martin Lawrence, the BMW M6 GT3. No, not the M4. Not the 2 generations of M4 we've had since this car has raced a GT3 competition. It's the good old girl, the M6, and seeming to have gone a bit better in the start. Not as high up as we usually see Martin Lawrence, Jesse, but higher up than he was this time last week. Of course, a bit of issues in turn 2 in Centerton, the very common spotted thing that we've seen. But Andy Boardman continuing to make his way back up the fields after a tricky start past Tom Winch. Going to be looking ahead towards Kuehl, Stubna, Redford, and Picano. Championship leader, Jesse. Every round helps. I know we say that it's anybody's game, which it truly is, but if you want to extend your lead, if you want to get a more comfortable spot, you got to push as hard as you can every single week.
Yeah, you've also got to take sort of a measured approach. You got to, know where you are and what a reasonable expectation is, and you don't want to throw it away for a race or a position that's not really particularly worth it. You've got to sort of ride the horse that got you here, and steady consistency wins championships. I've always preached that to my drivers, that I don't care if you win 10 races, if you DNF, 4 more, then your wins don't mean anything. I'd rather you finish second every week and win the championship. What would you rather be, a race winner or a champion, I would say?
I think a champion, and that speaks to what Boardman's been doing. I think he's only won maybe 1 race this season, possibly even none, but I think he's been on the podium every single week, and that's just echoes that sentiment that it is about consistent finishing. Race wins are great, but I listen. I know that I'd rather be a champion than a race winner. Granted, I don't win very many races either, so I think I'd just be happy. I'm just glad that I took part at the end of the day. Jordan Daly up into 6th position, still trying to chase down Aaron Jackson. Looks like he's fighting the Mercedes AMG GT3 just a little bit. I mean, these cars have been on the circuit longer than they were in qualifying. Their experience, more of that heat soak into the tire. Of course, the ACC tire compound is a tad softer than some others that are ran in GT3 competition. Certainly softer than ones ran in WEC competition. So more likely to get hot, stay hot. And I think it's just going to be about a bit of management, Jesse. And, as always, keeping it between the lines.
Yeah, I was looking at the hands of Jordan Daly in the Just Gamers 197 AMG, and I was noticing the amount of counter steer. I always pay attention to that. I can tell, I'm not an engineer, but I can tell how good or bad a car is handling by how much counter steer you have to put in any turn. And I was thinking, man, that car must be absolutely loose. It's 29 degrees C on the track. It's really, really slippery out there. I was like, oh, Daly's going through it. And then I looked at Aaron Jackson, the back of that Kaiju GTR, and I noticed that it was doing the same exact thing off of every corner, and I felt a little less worried for Daly. I just think it's a characteristic of the track that we have here today that we're seeing as we do ride on board. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a moment with the GTR? Everybody has their favorite cars in sim racing and in racing in general. This car is probably one of my favorite cars of all time. The GT1 version of this car is absolutely peak. This car was no less a monster back in 2015. I remember this thing winning the Paul Ricard Enduro one of those years over a decade ago. But Kaiju, I was hanging out with Kaiju Jack this past week, and they were joking that they're the only ones that would take this sort of not viable car. And I got a little upset. I got a little mad because not only is it viable, you're seeing Aaron Jackson show just how much this old car still has to give inside the top 5 right now.
You're saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but a trick of multi-class is sometimes it puts you a little bit out of position. I think that was exactly what just happened to Aaron Jackson, because in comes Jordan Daly on the brakes into turn 5 through 6 and 7, still fighting, but just out of position, catching up
there
to
he
the
goes.
back of it, and both cars drifting. I mean, the Nissan GTR as a thing, not even just a race car, as an idea, is so storied in the minds of everybody, racing fans or just car people in general, and it's just such a prolific car. Everybody, I don't think people can hate on the GTR, but everybody respects it. I absolutely love it. Though coming out of the final corner, the GTR seems to have the legs. Jordan Daly going defensive for the first time in a long time, and on the brakes, they're just about even. Daly with the inside line should certainly be holding on to that position, but they're coming up to the back of the McLaren GT4 car and trying around the outside. Here's the McLaren, and fortunately, right place, right time. Daly didn't have to lift too much, but just a little bit, though. Jackson, not this time on the brakes, but he's thinking about it. There's pairs of drivers that you sort of, I feel like, we spot as commentators, Jesse. We're like, all right, we're going to keep our eyes on those two. I think I found one of my favorite pairs of the night already. These two are going to be going at it at least for 43 minutes and 19 more seconds.
Look what happened here. 3 wide into Repsol will not go. Bang, bang. And everyone's able to drive away without any further incident. But look at this. A chaotic nest of cars going into turn number 10, and they're going to somehow find their way through it. They've got GT3s mixing with the GT4s. It's been a week or so since they've had to deal with lap traffic. More contact there, the McLaren and the Ferrari. McLaren's going to go wide as they all keep it pointed the right direction. Most importantly, scary moments going down into the RACC chicane, but they just about make it through, even though they may have been a little bit sideways, and that's going to ignite a GT3 battle. Nico Kumpu and Baddock going at it. This is for P2, and it's been won by the Lexus. Baddock up to P2. Fighting back is Nico Kumpu. Can't do it into turn number 1, and that is the great equalizer. We don't have rain today in Catalonia, but what we do have is traffic.
It's just something that you can't plan for. I love multi-class racing with every fiber of my being, and moments like that are the things that I get out of bed for. Another replay of, you can see, it's just the McLaren, of course, that's a few laps down at this point, or at least a lap down, just getting a bit in the way of Nico Kumpu, forcing him a bit offline, giving him a bit of damage to boot, and not something you want to see. It's just a bit clumsy, and here we go with Henrik SC and Damian Lowe. I think a little bit of a touch into turn 10, but nothing that won't buff out GT4s on GT4s, of course.
This is going to be a biggie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's slow. Oh, that's Daly rounds. I thought he might be able to hang on to it 3 wide into turn 4. That was huge. Daly now dropped back. He was up in the top 5. Now he's down into 8th, and he finds himself between a sandwich of Lorenk and Svenček, nearly going into the back of Martin Lorenk. And they're behind more GT4 cars, and through the final sector, they all stack up into the chicane, and they just nearly make their way through. Kevin Boss just trying to stay out of the way and say, please be kind to me. Svenček and him going 2 wide through the chicane. It's touch and go for so many of these cars, Jesse. They're ultimately gonna make it go, and now we're gonna find out what happened to Emelianovsky. And just another sort of clumsy moments of, hey, there was a car on your outside, and they turned thinking there was an empty bit of circuit, but unfortunately for Richard Whittle, he was there.
So that wasn't what our broadcaster Ash Bibby was trying to find. That was contact with the 11. What our broadcaster was attempting to find was, you may have noticed in the Daly Jackson incident in Repsol, there was already a spun car that was sitting on the outer apex of the racetrack, and that was the 11. But we're forced to believe, because we don't have a replay, that it was a self-induced spin, which you can do if you get too far to the outside and hook a tire into the grass. You can self-spin yourself. But this is sort of a That's just a bit clumsy right there. That's after the fact, and that was just quite clumsy indeed.
It's so tricky. I mean, especially if you're picking up the sim for the first time in a while, or you're still sort of new to the whole thing, to come onto a grid. This is another view of what we just saw. Oh, it was a little bit of contact.
I love being right. I don't get to do it often, but I love being right.
Oh, better than the things that I haven't tried, that's for sure. But no, a little bit of contact actually between Daly and Jackson that we didn't quite see. It's such a tiny amount. As there goes Svenchek diving into the pits. Of course, the pit lane opened, pit window opened just a few moments ago, so he's electing to go for a deep undercut. Martin Loring having the run on Emo Plata coming into turn one. Pretty much a slam dunk overtake. It almost looked like the Lamborghini, excuse me, was sitting still. Jordan Daly thinking, hey, there looks like there's an opportunity for me, so I'm going to try to go for it. Not quite getting the good, but Loring up to 6th. Jordan Daly looking to fight back, of course, after the incident with the Kaiju racing driver of Aaron Jackson. But no, Daly, Jesse, you've been right once today.
All right.
I'll keep a count, and then maybe you could tell your wife later.
I've learned I can't tell her anything. I can tell you that Jordan Daly is looking to get her by Emo Plata, and you saw Martin Lawrence get by Plata, and if there's one thing I know about Emo is they've always just been a fair driver, and I think Martin drove in there, and Plata realized that, well, I'm probably going to give this up anyway. I could contest it and get passed by Daly, or I can live to fight another day, and that's exactly what Emo did, and by virtue of that is still in front of Daly for the time being. But that Lamborghini looks like it's just weirdly a little tight in comparison to some of the other cars that are doing that, for instance. But I don't know why the Lamborghini specifically would be tight, but it looks like Plata's car isn't rotating as good as some of the other cars. The pit window is indeed open. As Jack has said, Juraj Svinček has been in the pit lane, and you wonder, should some of these drivers maybe have ducked down the pit lane early? Not in the strategy for sure, otherwise they would have done. Daly up another spot to P7, trying to get back up there to reignite the fight for the top 5. Cars coming out of the pit lane, cars trying to merge, everybody fighting over space, interclass battles. It's all kicking off here at the midpoint.
This is peak multi-class racing. What we just saw by Jordan Daly, it was just a prime example of what can happen. It's not that Emo Plata did anything wrong by any means. No. It's just, hey, there happened to be a car on the exit. Daly happened to be a bit further behind where he could react differently and, you know, box Emo in just a little bit. Absolutely fair play, but it's just multi-class giveth, multi-class taketh away, and that's just the nature of the racing, and one of the many things that makes it just so unbelievably special. But you can see everybody fighting just behind. Ted Edwards trying to make his way around Mike Redford and almost making a bit of a mess of it, but fortunately being able to get around, not quite opening up an opportunity for Ricky Berry behind, giving him a chance to get a bit closer. But no, you're making a very good point, Jesse, when you say some of these drivers may be thinking pitting early, because of course you go down pit lane, the idea is this early you hopefully end up in a little bit less traffic. You're not stuck behind a car, you're not stuck with a car chasing you down. So I feel like we'll see a couple more cars come down pretty soon. But at the moment, I have a theory, one of my many theories. I think they're just having a bit too much fun, and I don't think they want to stop.
You know what? I actually really agree with that. I think that we've seen that a lot this season, where you get these drivers that get this tunnel vision, and it's not a bad thing. It's literally that they're having fun, and they get in these one-on-one sort of battles, as all racing ends up and tends to get into once you get into the meat of a race. And you get that tunnel vision where you're like, oh, I just want to race this guy. You know, we've been side by side. I've shown them respect. They've shown me respect. Let's just continue to race. And you sort of get lost in that. It is sort of the thrill of racing. It's a weird drug, motorsport. And it's hard to explain to those that haven't been bitten by it, but it is an incredible thing. John Dalton in a very unusual liveried car for them. Used to seeing them in the nearly on pace livery. Very different, very fresh, I would say, in the old V12, though.
Incredibly so, and not just one, but two of them on screen. The Connection Lost Racing V12 just ahead, driven by Wojtek Rybecki, and these two having their own little spout. One of the best sounding fights. It's got to be not just one screen V12, but you get a chorus of two of them.
You'll hear them coming, I know that.
Oh, man. You'll probably smell it, too. Those things, big, lumpy, high cylinder, high displacement engines in cars that aren't particularly, well, the V12 Aston Martin is known for one thing and one thing only in the Assetto Corsa Competizione. It is very, very fast in a straight line. Unfortunately, though, when you find yourself, like John Dalton is, behind another one, that straight line advantage isn't as much of an advantage as you might think, because you're racing the same car. Coming out of the final corner, though, Dalton, I think, closer than he was last time around. We'll see if the slipstream can aid him just a bit. There is quite a bit of closing speed, so I think there's going to be a bit of a fight here. Dalton trying to find room. He's going to be squeezed into the grass just a bit, but I think he's going to keep it on the brakes. He might keep it in. His nose there, not quite. Well done by the pair. Rybecki pushing him a little over the edge. Dalton said, I will not lift. I will not pull back. I will still go for this maneuver. Not quite this time, but that was unbelievable from the two of them. And we can add it to the list of top 100 moments for the Mini British GT 2026, because there's so much of that we've had already, and there's so much yet to come.
Martin Lawrence into the pit lane, the first of the real contenders, I would say, in and out of the lane in the 171 RCI Esports red BMW. They pitted out of, I believe, 6th position at the time. So we'll have to see if the undercut, how much of an advantage the undercut is, because we would imagine it is one. We'll just have to see it. They came in 6th. Where might they end up? Nobody else deviating from their strategy. Uri Svinček and McKinnon McConnell have also been in the GT3 field, but I would have expected, with how close some of the drivers were, to have made a move down pit lane. They haven't deviated from their set up strategy. We expect more to come in this lap, and in fact they are. Daly is in, Plata's in, Ted Edwards is in, Uri Svinček making a pass on the racetrack for Martin Lawrence as their tires are trying to get up to temperature. A couple of flashes right there from Martin Lawrence. I can tell you, because I am fluent in headlight flashes, that's just Martin having a little fun right there.
I think he's maybe saying, hey, that wasn't very nice. My tires are still cold. How can you be so cruel and overtake me in a moment like that? Ted Edwards for the Race Ventura Mustang is in. Emil Plata is in as well. Jordan Daly, Will Stevenson as well, all coming down pit lane at half distance. That tends to be the strategy that most drivers contend with when it comes to an ACC race. Fill your car up for half race distance, do the other half in pit lane, and not much wrong with that ultimately. But Raphael Huell finding himself right up the back of Mike Redford, and I have to say, hats off to Sebastian Picano in the Alpine. Somehow, some way, 20 seconds ahead of those two, which you'd say, oh, maybe he hasn't pit yet, or the rest have. No, they're all on the same race strategy. They're all still going round, but he's just found form. We saw this in the opening round. Sebastian Picano being really, really quick. The last few, not off the pace, but not race winning. I think coming back into the form in the Alpine GT4. Question is, will they be coming down pit lane this time? I mean, when you're in the lead of the race, as you well know, Jesse, you kind of get to do whatever you want, but generally you want to go as long as you can. You want to extend further and further to just put as much distance between yourself and others, and it tends to work, but in pit lane.
The
Oh,
V12s crash. They continue to crash as they go over the 60-kilometer board. Oh my goodness. It's a late call from John Dalton. John Dalton gets into the back of Martin Lawrence, and they bounce and ping pong off of each other, going completely sideways as they get to the pit limit section. Oh my goodness.
that is not something
It
you
was
see every day.
I always get that wrong. The CLR colors throw me off every single time. That was Vulture Rybecki. That was not Martin Lawrence. Of course, Martin Lawrence has already pitted. That was the two V12s.
That's an unbelievable incident. I mean, you see old clips of people doing that in Formula One, trying to overtake. But John Dalton, it appears, has retired from the race as a result of that incident. But that pit lane is not very wide. I think Dalton was just like, "Oh, you're wasting time. You're slowing down too early. Maybe I'll find a route." But almost sort of went on the brakes, off the brakes, and into the back. And with the slightly bouncy crash physics that you get in ACC, it's just, well, it turned into a bit of a blender down pit road. But not something you want to see ever, not something you very often see. The top three, now top four, are down pit lane. Dauber, Kumpu, Jackson, and Ricky Berry all down. And this will sort of determine how the undercut went for the likes of Svenček and for the likes of Martin Lawrence, and to a lesser extent, McConnell. Bit of
Someone's
styrofoam.
gone a little extra wide at the top of 12.
Cartwheeling down the racetrack. I have a feeling that that Camaro looks slightly guilty. It's like when you walk in and your pet, your cat or your dog just has that look on their face. I saw that in the headlights of that Camaro. So, I mean, no harm, but we saw what you did.
You can read. That's interesting. I can read headlight flashes. You can read sort of car facial expressions.
It's like a Rorschach painting. I can see the shapes in everything. But as they're coming out, most of the field have pitted as well, and I think the undercut, it maybe hasn't played out for Martin Lawrence, but it seems that it's played out pretty well for Juraj Svenček, because they were down, I think maybe in 9th or 10th when they came in, and now they're up into 7th. So the undercut seemingly working. The question being, did anyone elect to take tires, Jesse? And it doesn't look like anybody did, or at least if someone did, they all did, because their pit stop times are just about the same. Top 5 being heavily contested between Shipston and Aaron Jackson. Jackson running a superb race after their tussle with Jordan Daly. Something about that GTR, man. I think Jesse, you might have a point. Maybe more GTRs more of the time.
Well, I just know that Aaron Jackson has that fight in them, and they're very familiar with the GTR, and they're one of the drivers that, if I was putting together a GTR lineup in the big 2-6, I would absolutely have Aaron Jackson in the car. I'd have the entire Kaiju team if they could be sort of goaded into driving it again. Because look, I mean, you know, pound for pound, they're in the top 5. It's not a fluke. They've done this several times this season, and they continue to do so. A couple of cars still yet to complete their pit stop. Raphael Huell was one of them until they hit pit lane just now, out of the lead of GT4. Ricky Berry leads the race. The 118 is stopped somewhere near turn 11.
That's Jacob Tucky. And also the 11 of Emelianovsky, they're back moving again. Slowly, but Tucky... that's the Camaro that I said looked guilty. So I think something more has occurred with Jacob Tucky, because he just sort of parked up on the infield. I don't know what's happened, but they're enough out of the way where it's not a hazard per se, but definitely a bit interesting out there. I think they've retired now. They've returned to their garage. Ricky Berry, of course, in from the race lead, going longer than anybody else. Obviously, is going to need less fuel to complete the race. So we'll see what it's going to be for the Speed Juice and Horseflow car. I haven't seen a livery like this in quite a while, and I know it was put together just the other night. So it is a fresh off the presses Harry Conway special livery. Well, we'll see how the overcut versus the undercut's going to work out, Jesse, because they were... I mean, there's always the question, what do you do? A lot of drivers choose to do neither. Let's stop at half distance. But we are getting a few different strategies. Not as much as I perhaps expected. Coming out of the final few corners, though, the top 5th through 8th stacking up behind one another, and possibly an opportunity coming up here for Uri Svenchek. Here comes the Bentley.
Yeah, that thing is an absolute monster down the pit straight here at Barcelona, and drew up. Of course, Tom Shipston they sort of had to move out of the way, and that compromised them a little bit. But even still, the Eric Carey Racing 107 Bentley is just, it's going to eat you up on that straight no matter what you do. Joe Dauber takes the lead of the race again by virtue of GT3 pit stops being completed. Kumpu 6.5 off of Dauber right now. 2 Ferraris lead Baddock in 3rd. The number 1 Lexus 5.5 behind Kumpu. Jackson up to 4th place, and this is the battle for 5th that we're watching here. Tom Watts, the only car that has yet to fulfill their pit stop requirement, is out of the lead of GT4. The number 42 Porsche will pit. That will give the lead back to Picciano, Redford, and Huell, the top 3, and there will be a fight at some point for 2nd place in that category as it gets quite close in turn number 10 again as the classes mingle. This is only going to get worse, Jack, as the race continues on. I know that normally you get spread out, but the battles are going to get more and more intense, and it's going to make this a lot more difficult. But dare I say, it's been pretty good so far. We've gotten lucky a few times, though.
I think for sure luck is on some of these driver sides, but I was going to say I'm very impressed with how clean it's been up to this point. Jacob Tucky in our YouTube chat explaining he was having some PC issues. Basically, every few seconds he was getting some freezes, a bit of lag here and there, and just didn't feel confident being able to control the car. So just pulled over to the side and ended up retiring. So unfortunate for Tucky, but I would say made the right call in a situation like that, because the last thing you want to do when you're having some technical issues is end up getting involved in a multi-car collision. So unfortunate for Jacob Tucky to retire early on, but fortunately doing it in the right way. The GT4 traffic really compressing this 4-car fight. Kevin Boss in the middle of it as they come through to turn 5, and seeming like that things are working well for Aaron Jackson at the moment. Shipston in the Lexus, though, has 2 very large and very scary, also front-engine V8 cars in the background. Not a fight that we're going to be looking away from anytime soon. We're going to keep our eyes on it. Here's Peter Varga trying to make their way by Wojtek Rybecki. Rybecki, of course, after the incident with John Dalton in pit lane. Extra long stop, finding themselves out the back of the pack. Varga, good enough for him, found himself a playmate. Ferrari 488 versus V12 Vantage Aston Martin. Gosh, that Aston Martin sounds. Every time I just like be quiet for a moment, it's like, I mean, it's the slightly older equivalent of the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Though I think the Valkyrie is somehow even louder and even better sounding. It's a symphony of cars we have running throughout the circuit tonight.
Yeah, I if I get fooled by that CLR car not being Martin Lawrence behind the wheel one more time this season, that's number 2. Anyone keeping track at home, that's the 2nd time I thought Martin was in the CLR V12 Aston. It isn't. It's Wojciech Rybecki, of course. But John Dalton retired as a result of that incident. As Jack reported earlier, Rybecki has continued, but after considerable repairs after the pit lane incident. Just an unfortunate set of circumstances, a very narrow pit lane, two different speeds, one quite vigorous, the other one somewhat slower. And they came together not one, not two, but 3 times before it was all said and done. And luckily, they didn't end up spun around completely backwards, as that could have caused a complete blockage of the pit lane. 19 minutes left to go. Dauber leads Kumpu 8 seconds the gap now. Joe Dauber looking to continue on. Scary moments here. What has happened to the Kaiju GTR?
Something clearly, because that's Dalton and, Daly and Jackson coming together again. That's that incident again, coming out of turn 9, just running a bit wide is Daly into the back of the GTR. Somehow, both of them staying in a straight line, but it begs the question, how did Aaron Jackson come from 4th? He's almost gone again into the chicane. Something clearly is out of sorts in the GTR, but Jackson running 4th just a few moments ago, ahead of the 4-car fight for 4th. If I say 4 one more time, I apologize. But
let's go, Lewis.
Now, let's go. Hey, it was a good day for him here yesterday. Just saying. No, Jordan Daly and Aaron Jackson, the fight reignited. My pair has come together again, but I don't know. I wonder. It must have just been a little bit of a self spin or a self half spin. He didn't lose too much speed, too much time, but he's about 8 seconds behind where he was a moment ago. It's good news for Jordan Daly. He's maybe looking for a little bit of revenge for early on, but it's right popping off here. 17 minutes remaining.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Aaron Jackson and Jordan Daly are not on each other's Christmas card list after this one. They have traded blows this entire race back and forth. Somehow, neither one of them has been spun completely backwards, and still somehow they're fighting for a spot inside of the top 10. But beyond that, it has been punchy between these two, the AMG and the GTR, and I worry, with 17 to go, we are not done yet. For my money, Jordan Daly has a little bit more pace. That GTR doesn't seem quite as nimble right now. Looks like Jordan Daly has a little bit more dialed in on the grip. The question will become, how wide can a GTR be?
I reckon as wide as it needs to be from Aaron Jackson's point of view. It does seem that down the straight, the GTR's got a bit more shove than the AMG, which is good news for Aaron. And Martin Lorenk found himself, I think the picture's coming a bit clearer now, because Tom Shipston was ahead of Svenchek, and Lawrence is now also behind the pair. So I think maybe a bit of a picture's becoming clearer. Maybe there was an incident between Aaron Jackson and Tom Shipston, or it could just be the pace of these two overtaking once Jackson was out of the picture. But the reality is now Tom Shipston wants back his top 5 position. Lorenk has it. The Lexus wants it, and a bit of a mistake, braking on the grass into turn 5, going deep, but coming back onto the circuit, dropping back behind and into the fight for 7th. But I'm wondering, just because nobody seemed to have taken tires, it's getting to that time of day where whoever didn't manage better than others might be struggling a bit. Mixture of driver fatigue after 45 minutes plus of driving, getting to the better of them. It's getting to the time where mistakes cannot be made, but mistakes will probably start to be made.
Yeah, you're right about driver fatigue. It's a real thing. It's not just something real race drivers have. It happens in the sim as well, that hyper level of focus and concentration, and you get worn out, especially in a race like this. Take these two, for instance. They've been battling since the drop of the green flag in one way or another with each other. And you're getting to the end of the race, the tires are not nearly as good, maybe the car's a little banged up, your patience is running thin, you're trying to race as well as you can do, but all of those things, you're worn out, the car's worn out, your temper's worn out, you're not quite as focused as you otherwise would be, and then you get in these situations where you've got to make this pass, you've got to set them up, and that's what you've got here, a three-way battle for P6. Martin Lawrence scampers away after Tom Shipston a lap ago put the Lexus nearly off onto the beach here in turn number 5. That has brought both Jackson and Daly, and this is risky business here. Any move Jackson makes that doesn't come off, Jordan Daly's going to get through and by.
Absolutely. It's just to be in, but to be the meat in the sandwich is a bit of a task, because you have the ire of the car ahead of you. You make a mistake, they'll scamper away. You make an even bigger mistake, the car behind you is gonna overtake you. I mean, the same goes for all three of them. The car with the least to lose, theoretically, is Jordan Daly. But it's just going to be really close. A bit more GT4 traffic. Miso Stubna getting overtaken by the GT3 field for the moment. Race Ventura versus Race Ventura on our pictures, the fight for P9.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, I think perhaps the return of our good friend, maybe, the Ted Send on our radar.
I will say, and I'm going to say this live, if Ted Edwards punts McKenna McConnell, I will unfriend him.
And I will not blame you. At the eyes of the world, breathing down Ted Edwards' neck. He knows he's in a voice call with many of the drivers who are racing today, so any mistake he makes, he will be ridiculed immediately by all of them, as is their right. But the mistake actually that time around was by McKenna McConnell, a bit loose through turns 1 and 2, and right up the back is the Mustang in turn 3, and perhaps looking for a move on the brakes into turn 4, probably just getting into the mirrors. But the pink, blue, and white machinery. This is the first time we've steamed them all together into turn 5. It's really close. You can see how big that Mustang is in the rearview mirror. That is a lot of America right there.
You know, I always wondered why the mirrors in some of these cars were so big, but I guess they were just like anticipating Ford joining GT3.
I anticipate so, but Ford doing a lot more than that, of course. The hypercar coming out. I hope it looks just as big in the mirrors, but left, right, left, the pair of them trying to work their way around each other, now trying to work their way around the fight for second in GT4. McConnell being the right amount of patience, but now Emma Platz has joined the party. They've gotten slowed down to the point where the Lamborghini is back in the play, and they're having to split between the two. Redford and Huel, the GT4s, with Stubna now getting stuck behind them fully. It's almost balletic the way these cars are making their way through on each other. I think
that's Raphael Huel, actually, but yeah, Redford and Huel having a battle for P2 is what we just passed, while these two have a battle for P9. This is exactly what I was talking about was going to happen at the end of the race. Look at this, switchback maneuver, Mustang to the edge of the racetrack, nearly out of control into turn number 1. The most advantageous position here for Ted Edwards, but now it switches back. McKenna McConnell holds.
Unbelievable stuff between the pair of them. That could have gone so wrong so fast, but it didn't. Not for these two. They're professionals. One American versus one fake American into turn 4. The Mustang trying to get their nose in. McKenna McConnell holding it around the outside into turn 5. Ted Edwards is not going to give up. Maybe going for a switchback here, but the BMW parked directly onto the apex. This is unbelievably beautiful stuff between the two. Emma Plaza thinking, oh, I hope this goes the right kind of wrong, and I get 2 positions out of it. These two know they're going to fight like champions through the end of the first sector in through turn 9. It doesn't seem that there's a big difference in terms of straight line speed, but the exit from Edwards that time around was a little bit cleaner. Maybe a bit of overspeed coming into the braking zone for the short straight down to turn 10, and the switchback again tried by Ted Edwards. He's not quite going to get alongside, but oh, it's a little bit of a touch saved by McKenna McConnell. But these, oh my goodness, Jesse Lee, this is I'm
Oh,
doing the
wiggle.
thing with my hands again. I'm doing the things with my hands again. It's absolute cinema into the chicane.
Yeah, this is really impressive that they've been able to make this work, and that has brought the Lamborghini of Plata into the fray, and they somehow survived that. A couple of touches. That is Race Ventura on Race Ventura. No team orders here as they're both going at it. Just a defensive masterclass by McKenna McConnell to keep that position. Plata waiting in the wings. And if they don't get a move on, Ricky Berry creeping up into the picture in the Porsche. Plata looking around the outside. They're going to have to sort this out because there's two GT4s side by side, and they make contact. More contact again. More
There's the
contact
McLaren
again.
going.
Some car's going to go through. Not everyone's going to make it through Repsol. The 11's going to stop short of the barrier, and that could have been worse, but still, you could see that coming.
That's unbelievable. I have just no idea what the McLaren was doing. Not involved in the fight at all, but making a huge mark in this race. Ricky Berry now trying to get past Ted Edwards and into the side and pushes Edwards round. It's gone so bad for the Mustang, and it's gone really well for Ricky Berry. That got to the greatest, cleanest bit of racing we've seen to maybe less so, but just a bit inside. Man. Edwards comes in, and I'm not a steward. I'm not going to say who's in the right or who's in the wrong, but I think a bit of dual misjudgment from the two of them. And Ted Edwards, wow. It's such a shame.
I'm with you, partner. I don't know who is at fault for that. I mean, obviously, we're, like you said, we're not stewards, very eloquently put, but I don't know if Edwards turned in like there wasn't a car there, or maybe Ricky Berry took a little bit more space. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I think, honestly, between those two. Speaking of coming down to two, this is the fight for P2 in the GT4 class. Redford has been able to hold off Raphael Huell even during the onslaught of GT3 traffic. Huell's had a few looks, but he's not jumped yet. He's not made a move as they continue on their fight. Peter Varga, by the way, has a drive-through penalty that is almost assuredly for track limits. They're the only car that we've seen today to get one of those, but bear in mind, penalties do end up breeding penalties. Looking to the inside, getting to the rear quarter is Raphael Huell on Redford now. Redford goes defensive into Repsol. Huge, big swing here by the Porsche of Huell. Looking to the inside, no space afforded him by Redford.
It's coming down to the final few minutes, and Raphael Huell knows this. He's been staring at the back of this McLaren 720S GT4 for a long time. A mistake from Mike Redford. An opportunity for Raphael Huell as they come into turn 5, into TV3 for turn 7. Huell's got it done, and he needed that one moment. He's been working at it all race. He finally got it. Will he be able to hold on to it is the question in the final 6 minutes. And just the single drop of a tire into the dirt for Mike Redford was enough to spell just a little bit of doom. He's still in the fight. He's still in the hunt. This is, of course, your fight for second and third. Little cameo by the now slightly wounded, emotionally and physically, of Ted Edwards there. But final few moments, Jesse. So many stories, so many moments, still more coming. And here's a moment, Andy Boardman trying to get round Callum Kerrigan, a little bit of door-to-door, get into turn 5, but managing to hold on to it, the two of them. And as a result, happening a few corners later, Boardman up ahead of Callum Kerrigan.
Grease Weasel 69 able to make up a spot on the very pink Callum car. Meanwhile, this is sort of a replay of how that all went down with the Mustang of Ted Edwards. The 11 GT4 gets sent off, and a few turns later, the Mustang gets turned as well. You could almost see that coming. Meanwhile, all that going on, this has still not settled itself. Jackson continues to lead daily for 7th place. Both of these cars are slightly battered. There'll certainly be some tire donuts on the sides of these machines, but it has not deterred them from racing. They've been like this for the last 55 minutes.
There was a brief bit of time where Jackson was a few cars ahead, but whether by fate or some form of cosmic coincidence, they're back together, and I think it's going to end this way. I can't say which of the two are going to end up leading the other. Only, I would say, about 3 more laps remain in this race, maybe just 2, but only a few more opportunities for Jordan Daly and only a few more laps of defensive driving from Aaron Jackson. It's going to come down to the absolute wire. I mean, we said, Jesse, that overtaking came at a bit of a premium on this circuit. I do not think anybody else got that memo, because there's just been so much movement, so much wheel-to-wheel tonight. I almost, well, for the second week in a row, I've run out of pen and paper.
Yeah. It is certainly one of those. It has been a chaotic race. I think I kind of expected this. I don't know about you, partner, but I kind of expected it to be chaotic, but maybe not this chaotic. You know who it's not been chaotic for? Joe Dauber. We barely talk about him all day. Nico Kumpu and Baddock as well, who did lose that spot to Juraj Svinček briefly, I'm pretty sure, on an exchange. But Baddock into 3rd now. Svinček, Lawrence, the top 5. Been a quiet day for Dauber, who's looking to go on for another win. Nico Kumpu, another workman-like drive for the Rebound Racing, 256. Picciano, who ended up 2nd at the beginning of the race, but due to a penalty by Polyakov, has inherited the lead and, quite frankly, has never looked back in the Alpine. Just an utterly dominant day by Sebastian.
It's just been a class act from the lead of both fields, as you said, Jesse. And it's been a great race from everybody. There's been a few questionable pieces of driving.
There's going to be some hurt feelings. There's going to be some emotional damage after this one. There's going to be some words exchanged. I can guarantee that.
Absolutely. Maybe some people getting uninvited to birthday parties and such.
Sure.
And getting taken off the Christmas mail list. But at the end of the day, all fierce competitors, but all mostly friendly by the end of the day. So they'll get over it at the moment. And Ash Bibby, our broadcaster, would like us to point out that Kevin Boss has not crashed this race. And good on him, because it's not easy out there, and he's had a quiet but contentious race, or not a contentious race, a very calm race by the wheelie slow AMG GT4. And if it all holds together, it'll end up that way. I think only a few, one lap to go this way.
1 lap to go. Joe Dauber coming across the line to get the 1 to go. And I would like to say, I think Kevin Boss's biggest problem isn't himself. It's the other cars running into him, I think, is what usually happens to the wheelie slow car. Today, that's not been the case. And quite rightly so pointed out that it's just been a quiet, solid day out of the Dutch driver. 1 lap to go. These cars coming to get well, in America, we call it the white flag, meaning 1 lap to go. They're going to have to go around the outside. No, they're not. Thinks better of it. Around the Maserati. That would have stifled the run for McConnell. Is this an opportunity for Ricky Berry?
Almost certainly Mighty Porsche Brakes. That is the older Porsche, but it's still known for braking potential, but not this time. And that's really one of the final exceptional overtaking opportunities. As we're coming right to the end of this race, I do want to shout out our wonderful partners that help us out here over in RCI. More cartwheeling styrofoam to end off the race just before Joe Dauber comes to complete his final lap. Coach Dave Delta, if you're looking for setups, if you're looking for coaching, if you're looking for the best tools to get you to the top of the sim racing ladder, look no further. Greenman Gaming, if you like deals on PC games, they are the place to be. Moser Racing, direct drive hardware that doesn't break the bank and is wonderful in its quality. And of course, thank you to Motorsport UK for having us on the recommended list of esports communities. Joe Dauber, a class act, 2 weeks in a row, takes victory at Barcelona. Nico Kumpu, his rebound racing teammate, better than last week, but better than the rest of the field. Andrzej Badek is going to take third in this race in the Lexus GT3, another old girl. The top six is just going to be all cars that are just about, if not more than 10 years old. I love this championship. Svenchek's going to take fourth. Lawrence is going to take fifth. Tom Shipson, Aaron Jackson, Jordan Daly, 6th, 7th, and 8th in this race. Peter Varga is here. Sebastian Picado is going to take victory in GT4. Just a couple more corners to go for the Alpine GT4 driver. And, I mean, it's going to be one to take to the bank, Jesse. A absolutely stellar drive, a huge gap to any of the competitors, and a good bump in the second half of the championship to maybe make a run for the cup.
Certainly the case. Sebastian Picciano comes across the line and wins in GT4 for Alpine, the little Alpine that could. Raphael Huell fought the entire race to wrestle P2 away from Redford and gets it done in the dying embers. Huell will come across the line and finish P2.
Unbelievable race from Raphael Huell, securing that second place over Redford in the dying embers of the race. Redford's going to take third. Misu Stubna, another impressive fourth. Only one more car, I believe, that needs to finish the race. Well, they're in pit lane, so one could assume they've taken the checkered flag already, is Tessa Thurlby, who has the wooden spoon in GT3. Kumpu and Dauber, and I believe that's Tom Shipson doing a little bit of a celebration lap, doing a little bit of drifting, because why the heck not? They've used all the tires they needed, Jesse. They still got some more, so put them to the road. Why not?
Well, you can't resell them back to Pirelli, so why not use them up? I think is kind of the idea that they've got. It's kind of funny to see them drift the cars. They know where the limit of the cars are, certainly. Final car or two coming across the line, as a couple of cars have they have finished, as you pointed out. Thought for a second that there may have been a car that hadn't, but you were indeed correct. They have all the cars across the line. Joe Dauber wins it in GT3 over Kumpu and Badek, and in GT4, just a fantastic win from the Alpine. Another race down, Jack, and honestly, none the wiser on the championship. But I see that you're down with Peter Varga.
Absolutely. We're back with the Varga report, which we had in race one. We haven't heard from you in a little while. A tricky start to your race, getting that. Well, we actually aren't 100% sure what happened to you, but you had a bit of a moment. So talk me through the race start for you.
The race start was alright. I was fighting with the boys at the back, and into turn 4, I was trying to brake a bit later on the outside and maybe go around some people. However, the guys on the inside broke a bit late as well. Thus, I was on the very, very, very outer line on the marbles, and just a little bit of tire caught the grass, and off she went. So that was that for lap 1.
That's definitely a tricky place to go. Not the only driver to end up on that section of gravel, the one outside of turn 4. But you had a few fights with you throughout the race. But I know you told us, you gave us a little teaser at the end of the previous season that you were going to be taking this car. Of course, this was your baby back in the day, your first sort of competitive race car. How has it been for you to take the old girl out on one last drive?
This was probably the best experience I had, to be honest, for this season. Mostly because the first round at what was it, Alton Park. Me and the old British small circuits do not gel that much, and Spa was just Spa and me. That just doesn't work. So Barcelona is a track I very much enjoy, and I have a good time around here. So it was this was pretty good, and I'm just looking forward to the other races. I just hope that the second part of my race was something that was good to look at.
It was indeed. We had some 488 versus V12 Aston action on board for us, and was great. But in speaking of the remainder of the championship, of the 3 tracks we have remaining, which one are you most looking forward to?
Let me take a look at the calendar.
You've got
Uh,
Donington Park, Paul Ricard, and Brands Hatch.
ah, I would say the most actually Paul Ricard. Many people are gonna be weirded out, but I just have some good memories around there. It just works for me, especially because this Ferrari does not really like bumps. It is, as I remember her back in the day, she really did not like high curbs or bumpy circuits. So that's gonna be pretty nice. Donington as well. I have some good recent results, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that. And Brands Hatch, yeah, that can be good. I think in this order, it's like from the most to least, but I would say even Brands Hatch I might be looking forward to that the least. It's still gonna be the race that I will probably enjoy.
Well, from the words of Peter Varga, the final 3 rounds of the championship are all going to be great, equally great for the most part. Well, thank you for joining us, and congrats on another great race from you. Anybody you want to shout out before you go?
Uh, just you and Jesse. Shout out to you, good guys.
Nothing for Ash Bibby. He took that personally.
Oh, well, 10 10,000 apologies, Mr. Ashby. Shout out to you, good man.
Well, Varga, thanks for being here again. Good luck in the remainder of the season, and good luck getting prepped for all of that.
Thank you.
From one member of the Ferrari 488 club to I'd say the current president of the Ferrari 488 fan club, Jesse Lee is down with our race winner, Joe Dauber.
Joe, first of all, you may not have noticed, but there were about 37, 35 other cars out there with you today, but you put it on them. You had the extra sort of pace and also the track position. What was it like from your position? Because it was chaos behind you.
The first time we came around and saw the GT4s, I witnessed some of that chaos. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching back the stream tonight. See what I missed actually. But yeah, my race was a little bit lonely. I was delighted to see Nico get overtaken quite early, which meant I had a bit of a gap, which meant semi-relaxed state, which is good.
I tell you what, this race kind of felt like one of the middle seasons of Game of Thrones, is what it felt like. A little bit out there, absolute chaos. But what's the secret? What was the secret for you? You had the lead and you were able to navigate traffic. You didn't find yourself in any real fights with your own class. So what's the secret to staying out of trouble for 60 minutes around Barcelona?
It helps if you put it on pole. But in general, I just love the 488 Evo. I've got like 2,300 hours in this game, and I think probably 600 or 700 of those are in the old Evo. So yeah, it feels quite natural to me, I would say.
what's the plan going forward now? You have this opportunity to win this championship. You're sort of taking control. Nobody's really done that to this point. What's your mindset going forward into the final part of the season?
Oh, it's a good question. You know, I normally mess about a bit of starting at the back, but I kind of feel like I shouldn't do that in this one. Maybe for the Paul Ricard race because it's so long. But yeah, I think I've got to try hard it, unfortunately. But try and have some fun at the same time as well.
Joe Dauber is going to try hard, and if that is not enough to put the GT3 field on notice, I don't know what is. Joe, anyone you'd like to shout out?
I mean, I have to start with Ash Bibby. He holds the RCI broadcast together.
You got me.
But yeah, yeah, but you guys on the comms, it makes it all worthwhile. I love watching it back. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe Dauber, winner here tonight at Barcelona. From Joe Dauber to Nico Kumpu, Jack's got him.
Nico, a much cleaner performance than last week coming off of Snetterton. I mean, it's, you know, first is great and all, but best to the rest, I don't know, pretty good too. Just talk me through your race as a whole tonight.
Yeah, last week wasn't my best effort, but this week was interesting from the start. I would say 488 didn't have that much acceleration as the Lexus behind, so I got overtaken. I think, side by side to the braking zone, and I just decided to brake a little bit later than I would normally because there was gap in front, and we had made plans with Joe how we are going to do the first two corners, and it went exactly like that. That I will slot back in after the first corner behind Joe.
Well, your plan seemed to have paid off, but no, you're absolutely right. You're under a little bit of pressure there from Andrzej Badek, and certainly some moments within overtaking the GT4 field, trying to fight your way in the GT3 field. That just as a driver who clearly, for your sake, and has a lot of experience. I mean, what's your sort of mindset? You come into a moment where, all right, I have 1, 2, maybe 3 slower class cars to deal with, and I also have cars ahead and behind me. I mean, what goes through your head in that moment?
Usually, if we are going into the corner, I try to stay back a bit. If there's nobody behind me, maybe they take a bit wider line into the corner and then try to send it to the inside at the acceleration out of the corner. If the GT4s or slower cars stay on their line, and we had a bit of moment. Well, actually, it was a GT3 car, I think, one of the McLarens. We had contact in one of the corners or after the corner, but luckily nothing too bad happened there. And I think with Patek we had great race. He overtook me once. I overtook him once. And he did a great send at the back straight when we were lapping GT4 cars. It was big send, but nice one, clean.
Some absolutely peak driving, from some absolutely peak drivers. Nico, congrats on P2 again. Anybody you want to shout out before you go?
That's the whole community that we have here. It's just fun to race and drive with you guys. And I think we will be seeing more in the future.
Well, that's Nico Kumpu, our new head of advertising here at RCI, giving us the best possible word he can. Come join us. It's awesome. Nico, congrats one final time. And we look forward to seeing you throughout the end of the championship.
See you.
On to now, possibly the fan favorite, little competition when you drive a car as great as he does. Jesse Lee is down with none other than Will Stevenson.
Will Stevenson, just a quiet day, realistically. We only got to see you a couple of times, so I'll ask the question we're all thinking. What gives? Couldn't find anyone to race today?
I mean, I'd spun on lap 3, which didn't help my case, and then wasn't really catching to the cars in front, and then they all seemed to have some incident in the pit lane, and then I was 10 seconds in front, so I was very lonely all race.
Well, you looked good and sounded good when you did it. What's it like when you get a race like this? Is it hard to lock in whenever you're not really racing somebody 1-to-1 and all the battles sort of, sort themselves out without your involvement? And obviously you got a big boon because of that. But what's it like from like a focus standpoint when you're not directly racing somebody in a race like this?
I mean, you have to definitely keep your focus somewhat. Obviously, especially with the GT4s. I think it was just GT3s focus probably tend to wander a bit more, but considering you're having to overtake GT4s, making sure you're doing that safely as well, you still have to keep quite a bit of focus in these races. But yeah, it definitely tends to wander a bit more when you're not really fighting anyone.
Well, we're always happy and lucky to have the Jag in the field regardless, and good race out there, all things considered. Will, anyone you want to shout
out? You guys in the comms, specifically Ash Bibby.
We have got to stop the bibification of this interview. Do go on.
His
Will,
head
sorry.
is big enough.
I think Ash Bibby should be doing all the interviews from now on, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Ash Bibby interview for the final race.
We've done it before.
All
We
right.
can do it
there
again.
we go. Excellent news.
Well,
as always, the drivers who make these races so fun, to the Monday gang as well. And yeah, thank you very much.
Well, Will Stevenson, a fan
and
favorite in the Jag, found his pace, and it was by himself today. No major dramas. Due to broadcaster restraints, we're going to have to speed up the interviews. We're going to rapid fire these bad boys, starting with Jack, who's down with Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence, a bit of a well, any result was a better result than Snetterton. You definitely had your work cut out for you today. A deep undercut put you in an absolute brawl towards the second half of the race. I mean, another incredible drive from the old girl, the M6. I mean, just talk me through your race.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting much from the car to see even worse than that, because with the minus 30 kg and the lowest wing possible, I wasn't able even to catch a Bentley on the straight. So yeah, well, so the power was not there that much. It was fast on the straight, but really not like extraordinary fast. The race itself was confusing. It was it was a brawl, like you said. It was a chaos. I kind of managed to be pretty fast from the start, so I make some few positions before the guys warm up the tires. But yeah, I got tagged and I was losing a little bit of time because I'm not sure if I didn't pick wrong tire sets like from the quali, but well, mistakes have been made. Then I saw Uri undercutting us massively, so I went for a undercut myself. Then we met on the track. Then we already spoke about it with Uri. I wasn't happy. I wanted more cooperation, but well, that didn't happen for a while. And then we just together went like up in the standings because guys were losing time, either some minor collisions and like the flow in the traffic with the GT4s. But overall, yeah, I'm happy. Like P5 on Barcelona, the car, if I remember correctly, Nils Nausius had a sort of Excel file, and the M6 should have minus 190 kilos to be competitive. So the minus 30 is not enough, boys. I need more.
Listen, I'll see if we can get on that. Anything for you. But no, thanks for being here again today. Another fantastic race from you, and I look forward to more as well. Anybody you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, shout out to everyone I met on the track. Was fun. It was chill racing. Well, I think it was fair and square to everyone except you, right? Right. And yeah, looking forward to the next one. Obviously, big shout out to you for making us this champ. Been fun. If we don't include it, Dom. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Martin, for being here yet again. Best of luck in next week's race. And
Thank you.
now is my, I guess, slightly awkward privilege to introduce Yara Svenchek, who Jesse is down with now. Hopefully, we don't have an argument in the pit lane.
Well, I'm laughing. I don't know if your eye's laughing, but
Yeah, I'm
Svenchek, I don't know how many horror movies you watch, but most of the ones that I watch have one person that survives the melee in the end. Today, that might have just been you. Talk us through your day and how you ended up surviving all of the chaos that was evolving around you, especially through the midpoint of that race.
Well, for me, basically, well, I didn't put the perfect lap for the qualifying, so well, it's racing, so I know I was faster than the guys ahead, and literally it was my strategy to undercut them if I wasn't able to overtake them, which obviously didn't happen. I had M6 in front of me, so yeah, maybe we had the same straight line speed, but yeah, it wasn't working. Even the Mustang was barely doable, but still, it was really good setup. Is actually the setup was made by Martin, but yeah, it was. Like the strategy was set from me from almost the beginning, or probably the second lap, that I'm going to undercut everyone literally at the second the pit window opens. And yeah, I was expecting everyone to brawl. What played into my strategy was we didn't overtook every GT4, so I knew the guys who would stay longer would definitely be slowed down a bit. So that played into my strategy, and yeah, basically we overtook. I overtook 5 cars, I think, in the pits, or 4. Martin wasn't one of them, and yeah, I was actually pretty pissed about that. But when I saw him, I was like, yeah, this is my only opportunity to attack him. And yeah, when I saw the opportunity, I just sent it, and it worked out. Yeah, obviously he had to dodge a bit, but that's racing. So yeah, it was hard, but yeah, Martin told me that there was a different strategy from that point. If I didn't attack him, we could have overtaken the what was that, Lexus and the GTR Godzilla in front of us. Probably would have caught up to them. I have to say, now they, like, you know, it's, we don't know. We wouldn't. This is what happened, and I wouldn't change anything because. In the end, I managed to overtake him, and we still managed to pass the GTR and Mustang. So yeah, it was a bit argy-bargy with GT4s. It was tough. Sometimes it worked for you, sometimes it didn't. But yeah, that's multi-class racing for you.
You're right. Anybody you want to shout out or thank?
Martin, actually. Yeah, he gave me the setup like 5 minutes before qualifying. It clicked immediately. Yeah, Martin would be probably the first choice. He made the race very interesting for me. I was sweating a lot, so you know, try hard mode on and stuff like that. So it was perfect. And yeah, everyone watching, I hope all of us gave a good race, and you know, fun actually.
Well, I can guarantee personally that it was entertaining indeed. Yuri Svinchek down for another race. One of the legendary names in
Thank you
RCI.
very
From
much.
one legend to another, Jack's down with Rafael Huel.
Rafael, a near perfect run again. Unfortunately, there's just that pesky little Alpine, but you had your hands full all race today. chasing down Mike Redford in the McLaren. Final few moments, you were able to get through. I mean, talk me through what it's like just smelling the fumes of a McLaren 570S for almost an hour.
Yeah, well, the fumes thin a bit out on the straight. He really gets away there, and being fast in the corners helps getting close again, but doesn't really make the pass work. So I just had to wait for a mistake, which happened in the end, and just use it, run away, and maybe not make the move in the last corner because then he would just overtake me.
Well, it seemed like you had it all in hand, and it worked to a T. Another great race for you. Anybody you want to shout out before you go?
Like you guys in the commentary booth, especially Ash Baby, of course.
We gotta stop this.
All the drivers racing these races. It's great to see such a big turnout. Also the GT3s. It's weird coming from a GT4, but they were really nice. No big sense, at least that I noticed. So good job, guys.
Well, Raphael, thanks for joining us again, and well, a nice review left on the Yelp page for the GT3 cars. So, best of luck for the remainder of the championship, and I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Now, here's a name we haven't heard in a little while. Jesse's down with the legend himself, Jordan Daly.
Yeah, I sure am. Not sure how he feels about the racing out there today, so I reckon I'll ask him daily what a race it was. I feel like we watched you specifically for the majority of the race. You were always in a battle, it seemed like, and it went back and forth. A couple of fenders bent. Are any feelings bent after tonight's race?
No, no, they're not. I had a good race. Obviously, you'd have caught the three wide through turn 4, which didn't end really well for me. But I managed to keep it away from the wall. Got back going. I had the pace, but catching up to the back of the GTR, there's nothing you can do. Down the straights, it was gone. Every time I got back up to it, it was like the dirty air killed me then. So I just had to hold my place and hope for moments which didn't really come in the end. But yeah, it were what it were. I finished 8th. I don't know. I might have been a place or 2 back. But yeah, no, good race. And I've not raced in a while, so I just enjoyed being back at the wheel.
Speaking of that, our broadcaster wants to point out that there may have been a crime committed this evening. And folks, this is an RCI first. Rig theft, I'm told. Your top 10 on a stolen rig. Your comment.
Oh, it's still my rig. There's not been no contract signed or no deal actually dealt yet. So it's still in my possession and I'm still using it for now. Ash baby. But no, hey, well bless her that.
Well,
No, it's mine for now. We'll see how we go.
well, on the backs of that, anyone you want to shout out or thank? Maybe Ash Bibby's rig setup that is yours technically.
Yeah, Ash baby for my rig that's still mine, which is Moser. Yep. You guys, as always, just because you always put a good show on. You especially using the comms box. You always make it fun for people to watch, and everybody on track who were race with today. We had fun. It was nice.
Well, there you have it. Jordan Daly provided the entertainment. That might be your middle name, Jordan Entertainment Daily.
Yeah.
But it was fun indeed. Jack, a lot of great memories, I would say. I thought we would have more bent feelings than fenders out there tonight, but turns out it's quite the opposite. It was exactly like you predicted. Drivers just loving racing each other all race long, and that's exactly what we got treated to tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I'm pleased to hear that, and it's just as a few drivers said, the whole RCI family is just such a great group of people. And if you're interested in joining that group, there's a fair few events cooking up, not just our regularly weekly series. Of course, we have the remainder of the Mini British GT coming across the next 3 weeks here on Mondays. We also have the Multi Sprint series running on LMU on Fridays. The next series will start on Thursdays, the LMP2 Sprint Series beginning next week. That's filling up pretty quick. If you want to drive the unrestricted LMP2 car on LMU, I recommend it. It's fantastic. Go do that. We also have 2 one-offs in the pipeline, 500 kilometers of Le Mans on July 4th. If you enjoyed watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans and want to have a little bit of that Le Mans magic, join us there. And the newly announced Nordschleife 3-hour farewell party, the final solo endurance event that we'll be running on ACC, will be on July 25th, I believe. Yes, I'm correct. I double checked myself. And all classes are available. If you want some more of that magic, everybody wanted, a lot of people asked for the Nürburgring. You ask, we deliver. That will be coming up soon, and that will be an absolute blast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight for another round of the Mini British GT. Final thank you to all of the drivers. Final thank you to all of the members of the RCI staff that makes everything doable. And thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you to our partners, Coach Dave Delta, Greenman Gaming, Moser Racing, and Motorsport UK as well. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Stay safe. Be smart. Drive a race car just for the hell of it. Have a great night. We will speak with you all soon.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss us goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream